Hey guys, it's Jack Cypher here. Now, before we get anywhere into the video, I do need to preference I am very sick at the moment. So if my voice is feeling very raspy and all over the place, that is why. You might be asking why I'm uploading. I don't want to get back into bad habits. I'm doing my best to try upload a video a day. The only thing I'm going to let get in the way of that is things like family responsibilities and work and stuff like that. But I'm not going to let this body stop me from talking to you guys. But this time, we have a little bit of an. I will say, I'm playing to my sickness a little bit here. I'm hoping that this video isn't the 40-minute plus mammoths that I usually do. I thought this is a subject that is always on my mind when I look at a character like Chopper, but something that I've never really heard other people speak about. So I thought I'd just, hopefully spend about 20 minutes here just talking to you guys about my thoughts on it, and you guys let me know down in the comments what you think. Am I talking crazy? Like, what's going on? Do you guys have the same thoughts about Chopper? I will say all my videos are now currently unscripted, and I'm trying to do as few cuts as possible. So if I'm talking all over myself, if I'm going on tangents, that's why. This is pretty much as raw as a video as you're ever going to see, but let's get into this video. Now, what happened to Chopper? What do I mean by that? What I mean is that when I first got introduced to Chopper in Drum Kingdom or Drum Island, he was a very kind of quiet and shy character that I didn't think, sorry, that I didn't think too much of at first when I first saw him. But as Drum Island continued to continue on, wait, well done, Jack. Give me an excuse, I'm sick. Um, I started to see more into what this character was really all about, and boy, I wasn't disappointed whatsoever. He was quickly becoming one of my favorite Straw Hats in the sense of just with as little screen time as he had, I was really bonding to him quicker than I probably had the other Straw Hats. It was probably Sanji was the only other one that I kind of bonded to that quickly, at least at this current time in the story. And, I'll get into it more in detail in a little bit, but everything in Drum Island happens, then we go to Alabasta, and everything happens there. And I'm thinking, boy, what a bloody character we've got to join the Straw Hats. And then we have Robin joining as well. The Straw Hat Pirates here are getting stacked. But much to my disappointment, it didn't continue to go down that route for me. Skypiea happened. Now, I don't know if this is where you guys thought I was going to go with this. Like I said, I've never really seen much talk about this apparent downfall with Chopper. Because Skypiea happens, and it seems like some gears in Oda's mind like turn, and he kind of goes a different direction with Chopper than what I thought he was going with. What am I? Just some arrogant YouTuber? Who am I to say where Oda should take his characters? And you're right. But as a member of the audience, I kind of felt very jarred, I guess you could say, in the not complete 180, but the direction it appeared that Oda was taking him. He all of a sudden became a lot more cowardly. He became, sorry, he became a lot more comical, and he seemed to scarily drift into the realms of being a character, a cash cow, a character just for marketing purposes because of his cuteness. And that's what I've thought for the longest time about Chopper. From Skypiea, those trends continued, if not got worse. And I kind of wrote Chopper off as not one of, my least favorite Straw Hat. He was still a good character, don't get me wrong. Or, I'll be honest with you, not a good character. He was still an non-offensively bad character. Someone I just like, whatever. It's a Chopper scene. Who cares? He was like I said, my least favorite Straw Hat, and I was expecting to come into this video and completely bash Chopper. And I'm sure a lot of you have already clicked off this video, whether or not it's for the sickness here, or whether or not it's some stupid YouTuber bashing your favorite Straw Hat. But stick around with me, because this tale of mine has a twist. As I was looking into it more, I started to get a different picture of what I originally was thinking of the character of Tony Chopper. I started to see a possible avenue that I hadn't really considered before, and probably in my own hubris, I saw Chopper's character in Annie's Lobby in Skypiea, and I wrote him off without looking too much more into it. It was very hypocritical of me. I'll be the first to admit that, because I'm the one who was always, come in front of you guys and talk about that it's not the superficial coolness of a character that makes them top tier. It is the deepness. It's the depth of their character. It's what's going on below the surface, something you might not see immediately, something where you have to use, get this, some of your intelligence to actually see what's going on. And I think that might be happening. Now, to be honest, I could just be reading way too much into this. I could just be jerking Oda off way too much. I do know that there are a lot of Oda simps out there that think the man will fart and it will be great storytelling. I reckon, One Piece is my favorite story, so he's got to be my favorite author. And he is. But I do want to preference that I'm not so much someone who would just, needlessly jerk Oda off about things that he may have accomplished in his story that he didn't originally tend to. But I've been talking in circles long enough here. Let's get into where I could have been wrong. And good stumble there, Jack. Before we do get into where I've gone wrong with his character, I do need to go in more depth about the type of character that I assume Chopper was. So we see Chopper in Drum Island, like we went over in the beginning, and he seems very reserved, very shy, very bashful, not secure in his own skin. He seems to have a lot of self-worth issues, and that stems from all the villagers in Drum Island just referring to him as a monster. And it's Luffy that not only just ignores the fact that he's a monster in quotation marks, but Luffy is appreciative of Chopper being a monster. It's the perfect example of loving someone for who they are and not needing to change anything about them. Because in Luffy's mind and in the rest of the Straw Hats' mind, Chopper is perfect. And it takes a while for Chopper to really believe what Luffy and the others are telling him, because he's lived a life of people scrutinizing him just based on his appearance. And it wasn't just the people. This story is even more tragic because it was his reindeer family that mistreated him first, or because he was born with a blue nose. Imagine that. His reindeer family, I'm saying that like it's common, were belittling him just because he was born with a different type of nose. And now here he is looking like a Yeti monster, and the humans are even more different than the other reindeer and treat him even worse. And that leads to Chopper meeting his father figure, probably the most important relationship in Chopper's life. It is Doctor, or, the quack, Hiruluk. And like I said, this isn't going to be a character analysis of Chopper, so I'm going to spare a lot of details here. But Hiruluk was Chopper's father figure. He found Chopper when he was hurt. Chopper was currently in his Yeti man beast form, looking very scary and intimidating to all the villagers. And Hiruluk didn't let that stop him. He completely stripped naked in a bloody snowstorm just to show that he didn't have any weapons on him and that he wasn't a threat to Chopper. And Chopper, we can imagine that he ate the human fruit, but we don't know if that immediately gave him speech and stuff like that. I imagine it probably would if it taught him the abilities to stand. So he probably was being able to understand the words that Hiruluk was saying. But even if he wasn't, even if he couldn't understand dialogue yet, just the physical mannerisms of how Hiruluk's presenting himself, Chopper, even in his young mind at the time, can understand that this man is not a threat. and he goes with him, and it's the start of one of the most beautiful relationships in One Piece. I could probably do a whole 30-minute video on Hero Look and Chopper's relationship. And like I said, this is where I was really kind of like, this is a great character here. Because we get into Chopper's backstory. It's a lot of people say it is to this day still one of the saddest backstories, and I can agree with that. It's also a backstory that, as I've gotten older and as I've become a parent myself, it truly just hits on another level. So Hero Look is dying by a sickness, and Chopper overhears this because Hero Look has thrown him out because, you know, we know that that probably wasn't the right decision to do. It's just affecting Chopper's self-worth even more. But in Hero Look's mind, he doesn't want Chopper to see him deteriorate away and die, become frail and weak and just not who Chopper had seen him as. Because you've got to remember, Hero Look named Chopper. Named Tony Chopper because his antlers could cut down trees. Like, this bond here, even though it was short, don't underestimate the strength of it. And Chopper overhears a conversation that's the reason why Hero Look threw him out, because of, him having this illness. So Chopper, in his naive mind, I believe when he meets Luffy, he's 15. I think this was like 7 or so years before that, so he would have been between 8 and 10, let's say, to be generous. And in his young mind, he looks through Hero Look's books and he sees a mushroom, and he sees a skull and crossbones next to it. Now, his father, that's how I'm going to be referring to him as from now on, loved and idolized pirates. So he loved the Jolly Rogers, and he's told Chopper about them. So Chopper sees the skull and crossbones and thinks it is a good thing, that finding this will help, especially because he's heard rumors that camera, really, get used to it, that rumors from villagers that there is a mushroom out there that can cure any illness. So he goes on this journey to find that mushroom. He encounters his former reindeer family. It was never confirmed if that was his family, I don't believe. Like, I don't think the one beating him up was his father. It could have been. That would have even been more tragic, to get the shit kicked out of you by your own biological dad. But he fights with the leader of the reindeer pack. And it's a hard struggle, but Chopper comes out on top, because even if this is his former family, they've treated him like trash. They don't deserve him, and Chopper can understand that there is a man who's treated him with respect and love that he needs to get back to and save. So he gets past the reindeers, he gets the mushroom, he brings the mushroom back to Hero Look. He's got an antler broken, one of his legs is broken. Hero Look sees him in this tragic and beaten state, and he embraces him, because he's seen the lengths that Chopper would go to. Hero Look already considered him a son, but just those actions just proved to Hero Look just how truly special Chopper was, and just the sheer love that he had for Hero Look. And that's something that Hero Look reciprocated. And he sees the mushroom that Chopper's got in him, and rather than break his son's heart about essentially a wasted trip, a failure, even though he got completely brutally injured, he knows he's dying, so he eats the mushroom. He eats poison just so he doesn't make his son upset. And that is just different levels there. So Hero Look, he eats the mushroom, he eats the poison, and he goes to answer Wapple's call about the doctors currently in the kingdom being sick. And he goes to try and treat them, knowing that it's a trap. But on the off chance that it's not, Hero Look can't risk that. That's the type of, man we're talking about here. He goes there, he sees that it's a trap, and he just laughs in happiness, because now he knows that it's not. He knows that it was a trick. And even though he's been made to look like a fool, he's just happy that everyone's okay. And as he's sitting there laughing and stuff like that, Wapple's about to kill him, and Hero Look's going on this speech with this beautiful music going in the back. and he talks to the whole group as a whole, but it seems like he is talking just to Dalton. And he talks about when does a country die? Oh, sorry. When does a man die? Is it when he eats a poisonous mushroom? No. Is it when he, gets blown up? No. A man dies when those have forgotten him. And Dalton's crying because, like I slipped up before, he says, is that same true for a country? And Hero goes, yeah, if the will to see it through is strong enough. And Hero oh boy, probably not the best, thinking on it now, the best video to make when I'm sick, because this one always brings a tear to my eye. He talks to them about that soon that there's going to be a monster coming, and that this monster is his son, and please don't hurt him. So, alright. Oh, I messed this video, coughing everywhere, sneezing everywhere, tears in my eyes. And he begs them not to hurt him, and Dalton, seeing the resolve and the love that this man has shown, honors that. Chopper comes out in a fit of rage. Dalton tackles him to the ground, overpowers him, and begs him to leave because Hero, who just unalived himself for YouTube regulations, wouldn't want him to throw his life away like that. And Dalton had tears in his eyes, Chopper had tears in his eyes, I have tears in my eyes, and Chopper understands it. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. And he leaves. Now, just putting myself in Chopper's position is kind of like me putting myself in my son's position. And also, and more importantly here, putting myself in Hero Look's position of doing anything you possibly could just for your child's happiness. Not even just so that they could survive and live, just the lengths that you'd go to, even just for them to have a momentary amount of happiness type of thing. Like, you do anything to just bring a smile to their face, to hear them giggle and stuff like that. And even though Hero hasn't known him too long, for that relationship to already be formed, and for him to make the ultimate sacrifice is just truly, truly beautiful writing. It's times like this where Oda deserves all the jerking off that he gets, because this scene was just something else. Up until that point, I would even say more emotional than Nami in Arlong Park. Now, that one could be debatable, and if I didn't have kids, probably I would think the opposite, that Nami's one was more impactful, but it just hits completely differently, and it gives you... This is the power of what a backstory can give you about a character, and just how much hype I was going in for Chopper. Because Chopper makes friends with Luffy, and... sorry, my nose keeps dripping. And protects the castle from Wapol and his goons. He sees Luffy's resolve to take damage, cannon fire, just to protect a flag that he doesn't even know who it belongs to. He sees Luffy and he's idolizing him about this is what a pirate should be. And that will lead to, Chopper making the decision to join him. And that's what he ends up doing. They defeat the bad guys. Like I said, I'll go into this more in a separate video, probably many months into the future, because I can't handle talking about this again so soon. But he joins up with Luffy. He joins up with the other Straw Hats. He has another emotional farewell with Kureha, and they leave and they travel around Alabasta. And the traveling around is Chopper getting to know just the people he's surrounded with, because he doesn't know much about them. And he's getting to know them all. He immediately takes a liking to Luffy and Usopp, like we were saying. And Zoro ends up becoming very much like a big brother to him. Oh, sorry. Even more so than, like, Luffy and Usopp, he's probably like more friendly with, and like they're like the best friends. But Zoro's like the one that will always kind of like call him on his shit and make sure that he's all right and stuff like that. And sorry, this sniffing right now is from my sickness, not from the weeping episode we had just before. But it gets into his fight with Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas. It is a very much, I won't say of all time, but it's one of the most underrated fights in pre-time skip One Piece, I reckon. It's actually, oh god, oh, I nearly malfunctioned then. Um, it's actually a very, very nice little fight that happens here. He teams up with Usopp and they fight them. And the main bit, I won't go into the fight, but the main bit of it that I wanted to, touch on is Chopper's resolve and bravery here. Now, he knows the stakes about Vivi's country, but usually in the future, even with the stakes involved, it's not until someone's directly kind of hurting one of his friends that he can like visibly see that Chopper starts to, harsh to say, but grow a backbone and, man up and start defending his nakama. But in this fight, it's completely different. We don't see a single level of cowardice on Chopper's part. He's actually quite analytical. He's as he was fighting Mr. Four and Mrs. Merry Christmas, while Usopp wasn't there yet. He's gathered all like a bunch of intel on them about Mr. Four's like batting swing, stuff about the timer explosion balls, the fact that Miss Merry Christmas can burrow underneath like a mole and stuff like that. And Usopp comes and he's the cowardly one and wanting to run away and stuff like that. And Chopper's the one that's kind of being the strong foundation in that duo, and they put their resolve in the fact that Luffy isn't dead. There's no way someone that they have looked up to so much and believed is going to be the Pirate King is going to be defeated by Crocodile. So they team up, they get their resolve, and they kick Miss Merry Christmas and Mr. Four's ass. And it's a great scene. Now, we get to Skypiea. And all the hype that I've been having for Chopper goes down the toilet here. Because he immediately starts being more cowardly than what he was in the prior arc, with no seemingly reason that I knew of yet. We're going to get into that in a little bit. And like I said, 'cause I don't want this video to be too long, he is on an altar with with the Going Merry that's going to be sacrificed. A whistle falls down the steps with Sky Shark swimming around. He needs to pick that up. He's too terrified to pick it up. Keep in mind he's just fought majorly stronger opponents than these sharks. Shura comes in, one of Eneru's priests. He beats Chopper. To be fair, Shura probably was stronger than Chopper, but Chopper didn't really put up much of a fight. He was mainly in tears. He calls for Gonfall. Gonfall comes, he doesn't do much, and they're saved by those big toucan-looking birds from Skypiea that were on Jaya as well. And that just fights Gidatsu later on in it, where he starts off cowardly. He eventually, steps up and beats him. And that's what follows from going then. He, in Totland, in Long Ring Longland, he is pissing and moaning about, being useless and all this type of stuff. And Zoro literally needs to slap some real sense into him and be like, you're a pirate now, you're part of the Straw Hat crew, you need to step it up. And he does. But he had already done that. It's like he had his arcs progression. Through the arcs, he had his character progression, and then sorry, malfunctioned again there. Rewind, and he's gone, and Oda's like, you know what? I don't really like where I was going with him. I'm gonna add more traits to him. I can call them gimmicks, and turn him into a mascot character, which is what he essentially becomes. If he's not complaining and moaning before he stands up and fights, he's going into beast mode and losing all will. He kind of becomes a very one-dimensional character, to at least me. Now, he has some good moments, of course, like with Hogback. He can't stand the way he's treating the what's that? Sindri, the girl with the plates. And post time skip, he definitely gets stronger and develops more of a backbone, being willing to be accepted as a monster, the monster of Straw Hat Luffy that's going to destroy you all. And he gets a backbone in being able to, like, smack his friends around when they're being silly and everything, and we'll get into that. But he has a great moment in Punk Hazard, probably maybe his best arc, I reckon, standing up for all the children that had been giantified. That did not sound right. Um, Giantification, let's go with that. Um, don't know if that's what they're actually calling it, but it's close enough. And he has a great moment in Wano with Queen and the Ice Onis and stuff like that. So he does have good scenes, don't get me wrong. But the other 90% of the time, he is just full of gimmicks. Those gimmicks are, the airheadedness of being shy and hiding around the corner, but oh wait, you're actually hiding the wrong way and everyone can see you. The gimmick of when someone gets hurt, being like, we need a doctor, we need a doctor. Well, he's the doctor. His little old man pervert dance that he does, which he does in miniature form and monster form. Uh, what else was there? His cowardice overall is played up to be a gimmick with the cowardly trio. I'm just trying to think. If any more come to me, I'll cut in and I'll let you know. But essentially, you kind of get where I'm going with. He's a ton of gimmicks, and it seemed like, in terms of my mind, that he was used as a mascot and a marketing tool to bring in all the Drachmi. And this is what I was going to be basically coming in just shitting on Chopper this video. It would have been a much quicker episode than what I can see this is turning out to be. God damn, hero look, I spent way too long talking about that. But this is where I kind of was looking into it more. I'm like, shit. I had a huge epiphany that hit me right in the head. And tell me in the comments if this is a stretch here. But Chopper, we know, is a child. Now, he's 15, the time that he meets Luffy. You could argue that 15-year-olds should be behaving better than this. He's also a 15-year-old reindeer, so it's a little bit unquantifiable about how mature he should be at that age. He was very sheltered. There's another gimmick. He's believes anything at face value, like when he believes that Nami is actually a man. Don't fight me in the comments about him believing, Nami was now identifying as a man. I'm all for supporting transgenders, but Oda was not going for that. He was going for Chopper being dense and thinking Nami had a penis, let's be real. Oh, nearly got into a coughing fit. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry about the state of this video that we're currently in. But, like I said, that was another gimmick. And Chopper, I was quite wrong about, because we're talking about his age. That's where we're at. Come on, Jack, stay focused. And you could say that he was, like we said, that he was sheltered, and that his personality, because he didn't, even though he's 15, he didn't really develop a human personality till he was like 10. So he's essentially 5, give or take a few years. And what the children do, they imitate the people that they see. He imitates Hiruluk in his goal. Now, narratively wise, it's him inheriting Hiruluk's will, like we see with many other characters. But he imitates Hiruluk, and he imitates Kureha in forming his foundation of medicine. He says a really, really great scene, and it's the only thing I've written down today, because I didn't want to get it wrong. Let me read it to you. This is a quote. I will be an all-curing medicine, a doctor that can cure anything, a doctor that can cure countries, because there is no such thing as an incurable disease. You could imagine Hiruluk saying that. That's what Hiruluk tries to do. And Chopper inherits all of it. He, say with me, imitates it. What happens when he joins the Straw Hats? He sees how Luffy's acting, and he sees how Usopp's acting, and Usopp being someone that he very much looks up to because of all the tall tales. God damn it, all his goddamn bullshit that he says. And oh, Jesus, I'm dying. And he believes that all the bullshit to be true, so he looks up to both of them. And he sees how they're acting a little bit silly, and what does Chopper start to do? He starts acting a little bit more silly. Usopp that we were just talking about with, his cowardice, his lies and stuff like that. What does Chopper start doing after hanging around with Usopp so much? They literally shared a fight together, and what happens after that fight? He starts taking on more of Usopp's characteristics. He starts becoming a little bit more cowardly. What happens post time skip? He starts taking on some of Nami's characteristics about bashing the other Nakama on their head when they're stepping out of line. What happens when he gets to Zou and starts seeing the minks and stuff like that? He starts to imitate a certain pervy chef on the crew and starts getting hearts in his eyes and essentially becomes a reindeer Sanji. What does he do when he tries to, be strong and serious? Who's the one that he really looks up to as a big brother? It's Zoro. Is Zoro not probably one of the most manliest characters in One Piece? I'm assuming that's why so many people love him. And I could definitely see Chopper kind of, because he has a lot of respect for Zoro. And you can see that Zoro's realness he has more respect for than Usopp's lies. And that's not an insult to Usopp. Usopp's very special in his own way. But when he's getting serious, he's taking after Zoro. And when he's getting super, super spirited and courageous and believing in his dreams, who does he start taking after? Drum roll, Luffy. He admires Luffy so much that he will literally jump into the sea, not having a devil fruit and being just as useless as Luffy. Now that's also the gimmick of his silliness, but it also just goes to show how much he cares about Luffy. And if we're going by this imitating logic, it would make sense that Luffy's love of freedom, his pursuit of his dreams, is something that just broadens Chopper's own will to achieve his goal, to be able to become a doctor that could cure any illness, even ones affecting entire countries or affecting the country itself. So I started going down this logic. I'm like, you could make an argument that Chopper is just around 5 years old. He's imitating all these characters, and that's why he's not super silly to begin with. Because who's he been around? He's been around Kureha. Now, he wasn't chucking weapons around like a madman, but he's definitely taken after her stern's a bit of a strong word, but her more serious personality compared to the other Straw Hats. And he's also more reserved because, like we said, he's a child and he's just joined a bunch of new people that he doesn't really know well. We all know that we don't, like real life people here, they don't want to reveal, at least most people, I shouldn't speak for everyone, don't like to reveal their true character right off the bat. A lot of people like to get to know people first, just to make sure that they can be trusted. So, another explanation of why Chopper was acting differently before Skypiea. Because he's just been through a life and death battle with Usopp, with the Straw Hats, a battle against a goddamn warlord. His trust in them would have been through the roof at this point. Enough where he can start opening up a little bit more. And as I'm thinking about all this, oh God, have I been misreading this? Not who he currently is, but how he's currently got there. I assumed that Oda kind of just retconned him a little bit. And if what I'm thinking is right, then all the apologies there to Ichiro Oda. But it very, very well could have been very subtle, very strong, very realistic and self-aware storytelling here about what Chopper eventually becomes. Because we do see, as the story progresses, those annoying traits of his do decrease a little bit. And that would be him maturing. He spent 2 years on an island without his friends, getting stronger for the reunion with those friends. He's now back with them. They're fighting more warlords. They're fighting emperors. While he's still cowardly through it, like he's a part of the cowardly trio, he starts to get more brave and more self-sufficient and confident in himself. Both a pro for this series and a con is actually Nami. Because, oh, sorry guys, and this is a spoiler alert for a future video that I'm going to release. Nami is very similar to Chopper in my opinion, in the sense that there seems to be a twist with her in Skypiea. To me, she got immediately more annoying, let's say. It's a little bit harsh, but I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm just going with that. And it backs off in Whole Cake Island. To me, that's where she starts becoming another, like a great character again, like she was before Skypiea. Now, I assumed, like, that was one argument that I would use about Chopper's character going downhill, that Oda did the same with Nami. Usopp's always been consistent like that, but those two definitely seem to have like a big change. And I'm not going to make this video longer by going into like the specifics in Nami there. But you could also maybe say that it was only after Fishman Island that Nami could truly start seeing these people as true Nakama and truly start opening up herself and being able to show vulnerabilities like Chopper is currently showing us. Chopper, being a child, was probably more willing and faster to show his true character because he's more trusting. Like, that's another thing. These gimmicks all kind of have counter arguments to them. Him being very trusting, he's a child. Him being very shy and bashful, spoiler alert, he's a child. Being very silly, what do 5-year-olds do? Or even 7-year-olds? They muck around. Who does Luffy act like? A 7-year-old. It all kind of writes itself, and the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm starting to see that, oh shit, I was completely wrong with Oda as well, but with Chopper. For right now, I'm going to have faith in Oda's writing and say that I did miss the bullet there, miss the train there, sorry, and admit the huge L there. Now, let me know down in the comments what you guys are thinking. Am I just talking way too much shit? Am I grasping at straws here? Did you guys even notice a difference? Am I just in my own head about this, probably talking for half an hour, making you guys bear through all this sickness and freaking tears, only to realize I'm the only one that felt that? Let me know down in the comments, and let me know if you want more videos like this as well. I'll always be doing character analysis videos, but more kind of just general One Piece discussions. Anyway, I've been Jack Cypher. Thank you all for being able to stand through or sit through all my sickness here. I hope it wasn't too difficult for you, and let me know your thoughts on Tony Chopper down in the comments. Anyway, peeps, have a lovely night. I've been Jack Cypher. It's been a pleasure deciphering Chopper. Have a lovely night.